Hi everyone, so we're going to go ahead, we're going to start section 5.5 notes. In section 5.5 we're going to be writing polynomial functions given their real zeros. So we're essentially working backwards from what we did in 5.4. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to scroll down to the bottom half of the first page of notes here. So here are the steps to writing polynomial functions. Write the real zeros as factors. So that means if x equals -4, -4 is the 0, the equivalent factor is x plus 4. So let's just investigate that a little bit further. So if I know x equals -4, I'm going to work backwards and get both the number and the variable on the same side. And so to do that, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to add 4. And if I did that, I get x plus 4 equals 0, and that would be the factor. So that's where we're headed with that. As long as x is the coefficient in front of x is 1, you can go ahead and just take the opposite. So x, the 0 was -4. The factor then could be x plus 4. We're going to go ahead, we're going to multiply the factors together. And then name them. So now what we're going to do is, what this means is this process essentially means that it is essentially the reverse process of finding zeros. And so let's go ahead, let's actually do this. And so we're going to go ahead and we're going to look at this. We're told it's a cubic function. So if it's a cubic function, cubic is to the third power. So that means that we should see 3 zeros there, and we do. 4, -2, 3. So the first step is going to be to write them like factors. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to have x. The opposite of positive 4 is -4. We're going to go ahead and we're going to see then that we have another factor, x. The opposite of -2 is positive 2. And then we're going to go ahead and see that 3, the opposite of positive 3, is -3. And now we got to go ahead and multiply these out. So the best way to take care of this is to multiply it left to right, like reading a book. So we're going to take care of x minus 4 times x plus 2 first. And we're going to go ahead and distribute. So x times x is x squared. X times 2 is 2x. And then we're going to distribute -4. -4 times x is -4x. -4 times 2 is -8. And then we're just going to combine like terms. So we have x squared minus 2x minus 8. And we're going to go ahead and throw a set of parentheses around that trinomial. And then we're going to drop down that other factor. Don't forget that. That's common. And now we're just going to multiply the trinomial by the binomial. And so we're going to do x squared times x. That's x to the third. X squared times -3 is -3x squared. We're going to go ahead and distribute -2x. -2x times x is -2x squared. -2x times -3 is positive 6x. And then now we're going to go ahead and distribute -8. -8 times x is -8x. -8 times -3 is positive 24. The final step for this will be to go ahead and clean up and combine like terms. So my like terms here would be -3x squared and -2x squared, 6x and -8x. So my final answer is x to the third minus 5x squared, because I combine -3x and -2x, minus 2, because that's 6x minus 8x, plus 24. Now on to example number 2. So example number 2, we're going to go ahead and list out those factors. We're going to take the opposite. So we have x plus 1, x minus 5, x plus 2. And once we list out the factors, we're going to multiply them out. We're going to work from left to right, like reading a book. So we have x times x is x squared. X times negative 5 is negative 5x. We're going to distribute the 1. 1 times x is 1x. 1 times negative 5 is negative 5. And then we just got to go ahead and clean this up. So my like terms are negative 5x and x. So I have x squared minus 4x plus 5. I'm going to go ahead and put a set of parentheses around that, and then bring down that other factor. And now the final step will be to go ahead and multiply this out. X squared times x is x to the third. X squared times 2 is 2x squared. We're going to distribute negative 4x. Negative 4x times x is negative 4x squared. Negative 4x times 2 is negative 8x. And then finally distribute the 5. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 2 is 10. And now we're going to combine like terms. So we have x to the third. 2x squared minus 4x is negative 2x squared. Negative 8x and 5x is negative 3x plus 10. And that's our final answer. So let's go ahead, let's do one more problem before you try to do this on your own. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to write the factors again. So it's cubic to the third power. We have 3 zeros. We're going to take the opposite. So the opposite of negative 5 is positive 5. So this becomes x plus 5, x plus 6, and then x plus 7. And now we're going to go ahead and we're going to multiply these out. So we have x times x is x squared. X times 6 is 6x. Now we're going to distribute the 5. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 6 is 30. We're then going to combine like terms. So 6x and 5x. So I have x squared plus 11x plus 30. Throw a set of parentheses around there. And go ahead and bring that other factor down. And then finally, we're going to go ahead and multiply the trinomial and the binomial. So x to the second times x is x to the third. X to the second times 7 is 7x squared. 11x times x is 11x squared. 11x times 7 is 77x. And then finally, we're going to distribute 30. 30 times x is 30x. 30 times 7 is 210. And now we're going to go ahead and combine like terms. So we have x to the third. And then we're going to combine 7x squared and 11x squared. So that's 18x squared. 77 and 30 would be 107x plus 210. And that would be our final answer. So why don't you go ahead and pause the video for a minute and try to do example number 4 all on your own. So if you look here, I went ahead and worked out example number 4 for you. So your final answer is x to the third minus 5x squared plus 26x plus 120. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to work through example number 5, and then you could go ahead and try to do the practice for today on your own. So we're going to rewrite this x minus 8, because we're taking the opposites, x plus 2, x plus 1, and then we're going to start to go ahead and multiply this out. So we have x times x is x squared, x times 2 is 2x, Now we're going to distribute that negative 8. Negative 8 times x is negative 8x. Negative 8 times 2 is negative 16. Combine those like terms. And we're going to get x squared minus 6x minus 16. And then we're going to go ahead and bring down the x plus 1. And now we just got to multiply this out. So x to the second times x is x to the third. X to the second times 1 is x squared. Then we're going to distribute negative 6x. Negative 6x times x is negative 6x squared. Negative 6x times 1 is negative 6x. And then finally we'll distribute the negative 16. Negative 16 times x is negative 16x. Negative 16 times 1 is negative 16. We're going to combine like terms. So x squared minus 6x squared is negative 5x squared. Negative 6x minus 16 is negative 22x minus 16.